And definitely make sure that you are bringing to the attention that this guy isn't always trustworthy. But more importantly, I think it's not time to bash Dave. I don't want to bash him because that's not what my intention is. My intention is to keep that promise that all law enforcement officers intend to keep, which is to you know keep the community safe. And I apologize, guys, because I have a small head cold. Thank God it wasn't COVID. That's a good thing. But the goal is to keep the community safe through, different techniques and collaboration with the community. And we just haven't done that. Um, we have high crime in the metropolitan area, violent crime, triple that. Um, you know, but we have to hold folks accountable. Beaks, you're exactly right. We got to hold folks accountable, and it's important that we are holding people accountable. That was the whole reason for taking on that job. You're held to a higher standard, and so you have to hold that standard up, right? I mean, how many people have apologized for making mistakes when it came to them drinking and driving, but still went to jail? Still couldn't get you in there. So I mean, it's very important, and I mean, this is a hot topic because when you look at the fact that this guy is responsible for the safety of the entire county, and what does he do? He puts himself and citizens at risk. Now, he wasn't in Hennepin County when it happened, but the problem of it is that he was the top sheriff in the state of Minnesota at that sheriff convention, and he led by example. And if that's the example that he led by, then we got problems. And sadly enough, like I said, it just the fact that they decided, to go with a more lenient um, measure, yet again shows that I mean, there's exactly what the community's worried about: a separate sense of justice for those who are in positions of leadership. And we still haven't heard a plan from the sheriff on how he was going to support the city of Minneapolis with their issue and manpower. What is his rollout plan to keep the community safe with violent crime? Things of that nature. I mean, we have a plan if we think there's going to be a riot in Minnesota or the metropolitan area, but we don't have a plan to keep the citizens safe on a daily basis. you know and so as a result of his actions, the citizens are, of course, going to kick in the bucks to buy a new squad car, right? Which leads directly into why I'm pushing for officers to have an insurance and liability insurance, kind of like doctors have in terms of malpractice insurance, so that the community members don't have to foot the bill entirely, right? Because it's raising taxes to try and offset some of the things that these cops are doing, and it's costing the citizens. So this is really important. When you look at the crime rates, we're not even attacking the fact that there's a huge amount of guns in the community. We're not going after those guns. We're not trying to find out where those guns are coming from. At least I haven't seen it. I mean, I know there's been a few arrests, but I mean, with the amount of violent crime that's going on in the metropolitan area, I would think that we would have a little more uh, on site as to how we're going to approach getting these guns off the streets. I mean, I don't see a reason for a 14-year-old to have an assault rifle inside the inner city or otherwise. And so we should be addressing that issue both through parents and through legislation. Even though the sheriff's position is an elected position, this is something that we lobby for with our legislators to have, some laws in place to help us enforce this a lot better. So, this is a concern, major, major concern. moving forward. What is that going to look like? We got a new city council in the city of Minneapolis. There's already some talk supposedly out there about a civilian oversight committee to offset uh, being in charge of the police department. Um, I think there's like 12,000 signatures that's needed. I've heard that there's quite a few signatures on that for the um, November 2022 ballot. So I mean, these are things that are out there that are major concerns. Primarily, though, like I said, the goal overall is to keep the community safe. Lower crime and keep the community safe, keep everybody safe, and we just haven't been doing that. As a result of it, the citizens are highly afraid, and a lot of them are self arming themselves, and we have to make sure that people are not only just arming themselves, but they're being properly trained, right, through firearms training and weapon safety and things of that nature. So it's a big concern for the community, and and we just have to address these things, right? We have to figure out ways to work with the community to reestablish that trust that we have. We need to have police officers in the community that reflect the community, right? We need to stop not hiring people from the community. And maybe in some cases, we need to hire folks from the community and then work backwards to train them to get them on the speed so that we not only have people from the community, but they also have life experiences that they can apply while working with community members. So, this is really really big. Beek says that we've looked at disparities within Minnesota education, home ownership, and incarceration. Of course we have. Of course we have. Excuse me, guys. Why I'm warming over. Ah, man, this little head cold has really got me. So, but yeah, I mean, it's important. We have to look at that. The most important part is understanding what our role is in law enforcement, right? The goal is to educate people so they don't have to go to jail. We should be working hard in the community to educate folks so they don't have to go to jail. And we want cops to use their discretion or authority even more, right? Because we know that they don't have to arrest everybody. Again, is this a teachable moment? Is this an arrestable moment? Right? We understand that when young kids get arrested and they get that label as a felon, they can't get education, they can't get jobs, they can't get housing, and so the reiteration back and forth, and we do want to make sure that we are giving these kids a chance to make these corrections, and we already know that their brains aren't formed completely as adults. So we want to make sure that even though they're making some bad choices, that we're at least giving them the opportunity to correct those choices. And when it comes to violent crime, we still have to deal with the fact that it is a violent crime, and we have to make sure that our legislators are holding folks accountable, and that the laws are in place to keep people in jail that are involved in these violent crimes. But this is something that we have to be at the table talking about. We need to come together not only as a community, not just angrily, but we have to come together with a plan of follow through. Right? We need the right lawyers at the table. We need the right legislators at the table. We need the right community members at the table, and so it's important that we're communicating with each other. In a perfect world, what it could look like is it could look like that the sheriff is working with the local police departments to hold them accountable to make sure that there's a liaison officer at each police department within the county, that in real time he's getting information that will help him monitor use of force issues and conduct issues within these police departments, and that you know he would be making sure that they're being held accountable across the board. There'll be a set policy in place throughout the county as to what will be acceptable, uh, a unified pursuit policy within within the county. Not just individual pursuit policies within the department, but a pursuit policy within the county that would basically explain exactly how officers would pursue individuals and what they would do in the process so that we're unified. What does that mutual aid look like, and a clear understanding of what that look like in terms of manpower and cost effectiveness in those communities. So these are things that we have to talk about. How is it that a city like Minneapolis, who's down a couple hundred cops, having major problems responding to calls and not getting any assistance from outside agencies or the sheriff department? And so these are things that we have to address. Officer conduct issues, right? Our is the sheriff taking a look at those conduct issues within each police department in the county and following up on that? Beeks is right. Your voice does matter. And so it's important. Man, Beeks, I keep trying to get you in there, can't get you in, and it's a great day too to have you on here. But yeah, I mean, so we gotta start making sure that we get involved, right? People have to get involved. And the best way to get involved is to come help me out with my campaign, right? Come help us out with our campaign so we get the word out, and make these positive changes. We'll make these positive changes with your help, by voting me in as sheriff, you know, and we'll get things in place. But that's how we're going to do it. Now remember, we're a grassroots campaign, so we can use donations, we can use volunteers, get involved, be a part of our campaign. You can make phone calls. We got these nice shirts that we have for sale, to help support the campaign. So make sure that you guys are getting involved. But let me say this. Let me say this too. I'm running for sheriff because I really think that we've gone too long without a voice for the people. Right? We've gone too long without a voice from the people. So long I've heard, oh, that's just how they do it. They've been doing it that way for so long. We can't afford that anymore. We need somebody like myself who's willing to stand up and fight for what's right in the community for the people without worrying about the consequences to himself. And that person's me, right? I'm going to hold people accountable. I'm going to make sure cops are doing what they have to do. And I'm going to make sure the citizens of Hennepin County are safe, right? And that we're unified both with the community and law enforcement, working together to identify and solve problems in your community. And that is the goal, to reduce crime. And so that's why I'm running, because it's near and dear to my heart. I'm tired of seeing young men laying in the street because we haven't taken the necessary initiatives to patrol properly, to identify problems properly in the community. And the response has not been supportive when it comes to the community. Listen, if people are afraid of the police, they're not going to talk to the police, right? And we know that the people in the community outnumber the police. And so this is how we get things done, because if the community feels they can trust you, they're going to come to you with the problems, they're going to point out issues, and they're going to work with you to solve those issues in the community. And that is what we intend to do, right? We don't have a magic wand, right? And we know that there's a lot of uphill work, but we're going to work every day to make sure that each day is better than it was yesterday, until we're in a situation where people are feeling safe again in their community. Police officers are treating people with respect and professional, and we feel safe again. That is the most important part. That is the most important part. Again, let me just jump in here quick too before I forget. As you know, the folks over in Minneapolis still are trying to get some assistance with these young kids who were shot and killed in Minneapolis, and we don't ever want to forget that. Of course, there's been a lot of people shot and killed in Minneapolis, but these kids in particular are still looking for answers. Their families are. So we'd like you to go to 1-800-222-8477. 1-800-222-8477. That's Crime Stoppers. Or go to www.crimestoppers.org. That's www.crimestoppers.org. Remember, Trinity, who was 8, Davion, who was 10, was seriously wounded. He was. And Trinity and Anya, who was 6 years old, were fatally wounded from gun violence. If you can't reach those numbers, we want you to go to Minneapolis Violent Crime Division. Give them a call at 612-673-2941. That's 612-673-2941. Make sure you give them a call with any information leading to the arrest or prosecution for the folks responsible. Now, remember, if that doesn't motivate you, there is still a reward of $185,000 out there to give you that motivation of calling. But remember, this could be your kid. This could be your kid. And no child should have to worry about gun violence when they're in the backyard playing on a trampoline or elsewise. And so this is something that we have to address. Over 30,000 bullets fired in Minneapolis alone last year. And this is a city full of people, not a combat zone. This should strike you as very concerning, right? Over what, 94 homicides at the end of the year, over 94, and still a good chunk of them not resolved, right? Violent crimes, over 600 carjackings in the metropolitan area alone, and a lot of those individuals not in custody. This says a lot about our community and what we need to do. We know the work that we have ahead of us, so we have to work together. We have to start somewhere. My plan puts us in a position to do that. My team and myself, we're ready to hit the ground running and get things going in our community. You know, Unfortunately, the current sheriff hasn't been able to do that. And so you see it for yourself. Nobody has to tell you about it. The city has burned down. You know, Violent crime is up. You got sheriff employees that are driving cars intoxicated and not setting the proper example of what we want law enforcement to look like in the community. So this is something that we have to step up and change. We really do. And your vote for me says that you're ready to see that change in our community. You know, and so let's do that together. Let's do that together, one day at a time. Let's make these positive changes. I see we getting down to the nitty gritty of it. So let me jump in here one more time with this backpack. Um, and jump in here real quick. So the backpack, we start, middle, and end the show with the backpack. And what that consists of is making sure that you have your driver's license and insurance with you when you get in the car. Make sure you put it above the visor so if you stop by law enforcement, it's easily accessible. Same thing if you're walking down the street, make sure you have your driver's license or ID with you. Stay calm, keep your hands where they can be seen, and as always, get home to your loved ones safely. Beak says, we the people are beginning of what reform looks like. Exactly. Exactly. What does reform really look like? We know we can't arrest our way out of it. So we have to come up with some alternative programs that we can help the community with. I always tell cops this. Let's say you got somebody driving down the street that has to go to work every day, but for whatever reason, this guy doesn't have license. Now you could write him a ticket every day because you see him and eventually tow his car. Or you can find out if he has some financial crises or if there's some programs that will help him to get his license so he no longer has to drive down the street afraid he's going to get pulled over. Again, the goal is to gain compliance, right? But also to gain trust. We're not looking to take people to jail. We're looking to educate people so they don't have to go to jail. Remember, we will have to arrest some people, but arrest should be the last result. You should have exhausted all means in between time to resolve this issue with the least amount of force and the best possible outcome on behalf of the citizens. They're not asking you to wave a magic wand. But they are asking that when you get there, things get better, not worse. If my brother is having some mental health issues and I call law enforcement, we'd like to hope that you slow things down just long enough to get the proper folks there to make sure that my brother's taken care of without loss of life. And this is something that we have to remember moving forward. Slow things down, talk to people, get a better understanding. Make sure that we consider life to be important life, right? All life to be important. Make sure we're not just hastily shooting people unnecessarily. Make sure we're trying our best to do what we can to resolve these situations peacefully. That is our overall goal in the community. And so, as the top cop in the county, that's what I'm hoping to do. Make sure that we're keeping people safe, make sure that we're building that trust between law enforcement and the community, and that people understand that they can trust law enforcement. And so that is what we want to talk about all the time with everyone. And that's what you in the community should be thinking about. Of course, we're running out of time here, but that is one of my pet peeves, making sure that we're keeping the community safe. And it should be your pet peeve too. Violent crime in the community, we have to work with these parents to identify and solve problems in the community. So that's one of the things that we want to make sure we're doing. Sorry, excuse me there. This head cold is whooping up on me, guys. But so that's very important. So again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join in. And Beaks, we wish we could get you through there, brother. Hopefully, we'll have the bugs worked out by next week. But these are one of the things that happen when you're doing live shows. Um, and so we'll try and get those bugs worked out because I know this was an exciting topic that Beaks had a lot to say about. And we'd love to hear from Beaks all the time. So, Nicole, we appreciate you jumping on. Looks like Matthew Jenkins, we appreciate you jumping on. And all the folks that have chimed in with your opinion, comments, or just viewing us, we really appreciate it. As you know, we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5 live on Let's Talk About It, addressing issues in the community and also giving you a chance to get to know me, your candidate for Hennepin County Sheriff. And I think this is an important part because a lot of time we have to get to know people to make sure, exactly who we're voting in the office and what they intend to do to keep us safe. And that is what I intend to do. I love working with people, and if you're going to work in this job, you really got to love working with people. You got to not mind getting outside, being involved with working with people. And you can't prejudge people. You gotta just love, working with them and giving them the opportunity to show you the better side of them. Now we know cops generally see people on their worst possible day. We get that. But we can be proactive and we can turn some of those worst possible days into great days of memory. And that's what we intend to do. We don't want to see cops shooting kids for no reason. We don't want to see excessive force in the community, and we want to hold people accountable. Most importantly, we're not saying cops be perfect, but when you do something wrong, be willing to admit it, be willing to be held accountable for it. We shouldn't take 4 or 5 months to get video on incidents that we know already happened. This video should be forthcoming, right? And that's something that we have to make sure is definitely going to happen in my administration. There's no need for us to have to wait 10 days to get a video out. It just isn't. All right. First off, the thing that we have to understand is that the video is only going to show what happened. It's not going to choose sides. It's just going to show what happened. Right. And if you got nothing to hide, it shouldn't be a problem getting the video out. We're not asking you to switch it up. people are smart enough to draw their own conclusions based on the information and what they've seen. But we want to make sure that we're getting that information out. We don't want issues of law enforcement agencies investigating their own issues of force, right? We don't want cops investigating their own shootings. We want outside agencies taking a look at those situations, right? And so that's what we want to have is that neutrality, that transparency, and that accountability. And guess what? If you did the right thing, you're going to come out on top. And if you did the wrong thing, we're going to hold you accountable. And if it's going to cost the city or a county, we're going to make sure there's an insurance in place for each officer so that that money is not coming directly out of the citizens' pockets, but some of it is offset by the insurance that the officers have for liability. So, again, guys, thanks for joining us. Again, my name is Joe Banks. I'm your host of Let's Talk About It. Remember, if you need to contact us, you can reach me at 763-221-4724. That's 763-221-4724. Or Joe Lawman at hotmail.com. That's JoeLawman at hotmail.com. My co-host, Antoine Beeks, you can reach him. Beeks, you're going to go ahead and type in your contact information, let everybody know how they can reach you. We had some technical issues, so co-host Antoine Peaks couldn't get in today on the system, but he's going to type in his contact information. For those of you who don't know, Antoine is also a firearms instructor, and so if you have a firearm and you need to, get the proper training or get a concealed carry permit, Antoine's your guy. So make sure that you're getting in touch with him for all of your firearm needs. Again, guys, we're selling these nice little shirts here for our campaign. And remember, we're a grassroots campaign, so we're looking to get volunteers. We're hoping to get some donations in to offset the cost of getting flyers out and the word out around the county. So make sure you jump in, get involved, and help us out with the campaign. Remember, we can win this, but it takes you working with us to do so. So again, we're here every week from 4 to 5. I'm Joe Banks, and you just talked about it. Thanks, guys.